Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars.
Boop.
And sometimes cry.
Hello, and welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. I am one of your hosts, Lizzie Perales, and I am here with the wonderful Zoe Hinton.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good.
That's good. How is school?
It's good.
That's also good. Today we have to talk about the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6 episode because it was all over the place and it was really good, but it was all over the place.
Spoiler about another amazing episode. That's all.
Yes. Spoiler free, it was very good. I want more of a certain character, but also what we're getting is good. So yeah, that's all I can give spoiler free at this point. Yeah. So spoilers now because I there's just so much. It feels like I watched like 3 episodes in one. So the first thing is it's a Mandalorian show.
Yeah, we got like 2 shots of Boba in one scene.
Yeah.
Did he say anything?
No.
I feel like Fennec was doing all the talking, right?
Yeah. Which she did in the last episode too.
Well, Boba wasn't even there the last episode.
Fair. What my mom has argued in the last episode is that Boba's presence is there because Fennec represents him. And she was there in Boba Fett's place, even though I feel like Boba does his own work and could have been in that episode because he said before that he likes to walk. So I don't know, but
yeah, I guess I can see that, but like also
he just wasn't there.
He's not.
Yeah.
We saw him here though.
Yeah.
He was Book of Boba Fett. Had a cameo from Boba Fett. Woo!
Yay! Wow, I had no idea he was in the show.
Right. Yeah, it was another Mandalorian episode. Although even the Mandalorian wasn't overwhelmingly in it either. There's a lot of people here.
Yeah, there was a lot of different people.
It was just an episode of Star Wars, just like
in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
it was good. But not very Boba Fett. Maybe next episode we'll get some Boba Fett, guys.
Yeah. I thought it was really, really funny because I was like sitting there and I was watching it and I was like, it'd be really funny if this was also not a Book of Boba Fett episode. And then like immediately it was like Mando on his way to see Grogu. And I was like, oh, awesome. So that, yeah, it was like really good. The content we got, amazing, beautiful, great, love it. But I am really invested in Boba right now. Like it feels weird to say, but I feel like I can wait for Grogu. Like,
yeah, well, I just like it's the Boba Fett show. And like again, this episode is really good, but one of my criticisms of Mando season 2 was like sometimes didn't feel like the Mandalorian show anymore with a lot of the cameos. And this is like at least Mando was in those episodes. This is like
at least he showed
like not Boba Fett. And again, amazing. Blew me away. Not Boba Fett.
Yeah. It I guess just the first thing we see is like Mando going over to the planet and we see R2 and I was like, oh, that's so cool, that's R2. I was thinking about I was like, the amount, like, no matter how many new droids and stuff that we get, like BD and like just K2SO, or like, just all those other characters that we really love, I still really love R2. I'm not saying no one does, but like it's so nice to see R2.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he goes there and he follows R2 through like this bamboo forest. And then there's spider droids, but a different breed of spider droids.
Yeah, they're like just like building a little hut. The same hut I believe we see burning in flashbacks.
Yeah.
We're not gonna worry about that.
No, not right now.
um
So that happens and Mando's waiting, and then he wakes up because I guess he falls asleep. And then we see a person that's not Boba Fett. We see Ahsoka, our favorite. Yeah.
I will say, and maybe it's just because I've gotten used to it since The Mandalorian, but the live action Ahsoka here, I don't know if there was something they changed or if it was just me getting out of my head about it. It didn't bother me as much. I guess that's not the best word I could think of.
I
but
think
it was
just
like
looked exactly the same.
See, I don't know. Like the first episode with Mandalorian, I was like, oh, this just doesn't feel like Ahsoka. Like, I said all this in the podcast we did about that episode. And I was like, this is just not giving me the Ahsoka vibes, and it just doesn't, like, it didn't register completely in my brain like it's supposed to be Ahsoka. And that was different this time. This time I was like, it registered more as Ahsoka and it felt more like Ahsoka.
Interesting. I did not have that feeling.
I don't know if that was just my brain and like I'm used to live action Ahsoka now, seeing it around a little bit versus the first time being like, what the hell? Or if they did change something. But that was my feeling.
Yeah, I unfortunately did not get that feeling and I was like, maybe it is, like, because I was like, maybe I'll just like, I don't know, maybe it's me that's wrong. But then later we get another character I won't name now, even though it's spoiler time, but like, but like when we got them, I was immediately like, yep, that's him, that makes sense.
Right.
That I get it. Like I did not feel that at all with with Ahsoka.
I still don't love live action Ahsoka. I'm not going to get into it all. I prefer her animated for a couple of reasons. I like Ashley's portrayal of her. I think Ashley does her better than anyone could. But I felt better about it this time. So
that's good for you. No, that's good. The only thing I can really think of that's like really cool about the live action Ahsoka is that it's portrayed by an actual like African American, because Ahsoka's features is very like African American-y, like it had like the lips, the cheeks, like just everything. So it is really cool to see that and like have that. But also I feel like the actress didn't really do really well in portraying Ahsoka. But that's just me and that's just my opinion. Obviously it was different for you, which is really good because you're immersed in the show and like the story a lot better than I am. But yeah, I still need to get used to it, especially because there's going to be a whole show. I still wish they made her head tails longer, but whatever. Small little things. Anyway, but she was there and she was talking about like she basically just doesn't want Mando to go see Grogu. Because of the whole Jedi not having attachment crap, which I think is really funny because like the Jedi died and no one seemed to think why, besides like, oh, well, it was like the clones. Well, yeah, but also the Jedi in general were just kind of corrupt and also believed, much like how the Mandalorians, like, this is stupid that like the Jedi are like super like, yeah, no attachments, but also like it's okay to have an extreme attachment to your like master, and that's it.
That's not really. I disagree with your interpretation of the Jedi, so I will say.
Well, because you like the Jedi, but yes.
Well, I'll say I think the attachment rule. I think that to me, I think it's the way George Lucas has explained it is they can love each other, they can have compassion and connection with people, and that's important. That's why they have a master Padawan, and that bond is important, and they value that. But the attachment that they're talking about with the attachment rule is the desire to basically possess someone, and that was like the issue with Anakin. He wanted to basically possess Padme and control her fate, and that was what led him down the dark path, and that's what's unhealthy, not
right
attachment, period.
Well,
and I think that's what Ahsoka was saying to Din when she was like, are you doing it for him, or are you doing it for you? And I think he was doing it for himself.
well, yeah. Also, just the fact that a lot of the Jedi didn't understand that. Like, yes, that is supposed to be the way that it's supposed. Like, of course, attachment's not bad, and like some of the Jedi understood that. And then there were some like Mace Windu who just were completely like, no attachment, none of that. So it's like, I still think they're like not the greatest. A lot of the groups aren't, but yeah, so that whole situation was really frustrating. Just especially more especially for Mando, probably because he's all for family, and like the Mandalorians having, like they said in the last episodes, like having that like those bonds with people and stuff like that. So he went to try to go see Grogu, and he was not allowed to, kind of ish.
Well, I mean, Ahsoka said like you can go see him, but like he's having a really hard time. Like, and are you doing this selfish reasons or not? And if he had gone to see him, I don't think she would have like physically stopped him. I don't think Luke would have either, but they both understood. Like,
nah, but she's kind of judgy though.
I don't think so.
The way she was said is extremely judgy.
No.
Yeah. She was like, I mean, you can, but like it's for you, isn't it? Like, that's so judgy.
I think she didn't say it like that. She was like, she was very calm. No, she was very calm, and she was like, are you doing this for yourself or for him? And he was like, I'm doing this for myself. And he gave her the thing from the armorer, and then left, because he realized, in the long run, from the perspective right now, depending on what Grogu chooses in the future, it could be different. But right now, he wants to make things easier for Grogu.
I feel like it's not easier. That's like taking away a whole parent. And then when the parent wants to go see their kid, they're like, no, it's not good for them. Like, what about what about every Saturday or something? I'm like saying this from a very emotional point of view. So don't take anything as I say as extremely serious. There's a little seriousness. There's a little seriousness there, but also I'm like upset just with the whole situation. But yeah, I just I still don't appreciate Ahsoka, and that is okay. And I always appreciate her attitude towards Mando, and also don't appreciate Luke towards the end of the episode. It's fine. It's okay. It's all right. But anyway, he goes and he gives the little package to Ahsoka, and he leaves. And then Grogu sees him leave. Like, I think he knows that it was Mando.
I'm sure he could sense it, yeah.
He could totally sense it, which my thing is like, it feels even worse if you were to see a parent and they don't interact with you and they just leave. That's even worse, like, than like seeing them and then like them leaving for a while. Because in my head, I feel like, Mando is a good parent and would actually come back and be like, hey, I'm going to visit you for the week. Hey, I'm gonna try to visit you. Especially because apparently he found them so easy. But so I like it feels even worse to see like a parent come in and like see like not even interact with you and then just leave. Like it makes you feel like you're so unwanted. Like enough that you're not gonna be like they're not even gonna go and interact with you. And he could like Luke could explain it to him all he wants and be like, well, it was for you, it was for your schooling, it was for this. It doesn't matter, especially because he's a kid. It's stuff like that. I'm like, I'm upsetty. But yeah. This is coming a lot from me, but it's okay. He does that, and then he sees Mando leave. But also between like seeing Grogu and like Luke and Mando, we see scenes from like Tatooine with Cobb Vanth, which I think he looks a little silly with his just. I think he doesn't look silly. He just looks like normal now because he doesn't have his cool armor that wasn't his, but like his armor,
Mm-hmm.
He's just wearing a red shirt now. But I think Mando should like give him like wood armor or something.
I might not might not be able to wear anymore, but
Yeah. Well, hey, hold on.
I said might. We're not sure yet.
I think he's fine. He should be fine. Anyway. But we see Cobb Vanth, and I texted my mom. I told you about the whole Steel thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, Cobb Vanth looks like Steel. And my mom was like, how dare you? And then Steel was like, what do you mean, how dare you? It was a whole thing. And so I texted my parents in the group chat. I was like, whoa, I didn't know Steel was in this episode. And then Axel was like, he is? And then I sent a picture of Cobb Vanth with his red shirt. But basically the Pikes are coming through his part of town, and he's like, I'm gonna kill all of you except one, and I'm gonna set the example that we don't want spice here, and blah 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 blah.
Well, he was gonna let them all walk away, but then they all pulled their guns except one, and he was like, yeah, don't pull a gun on me.
You're smart. Right? Yeah. Is spice like, so I'm not confused.
Right, it's like a drug, but then they just have a box of it, and also like I hope they don't inhale it, because he just like sent it through the wind.
Yeah,
so that's not.
I'm like trying to compare it to real life, but I'm like, what is that in real like? Because there's people who like do spice in real life, but like, is that the same thing, or is this spice like?
I doubt it's the same as real life.
Right, but like, what is it like?
It's a narcotic. It's a variation of a narcotic. Yeah, it sounds like they just, whenever like they're in like a scene and they're like, we need drugs, they just say spice.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. Like
it's not very specific. They're just like, oh, what's a drug? Spice. Great.
Like, I guess if it was like a real life-ish movie, they'd just be like, oh, they're like doing drug runs and like,
yeah, and they don't say like, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think they're just like
drugs, but space.
Right. Yeah, so they were trying to run spice through, and Cobb Vanth was like, no, you don't.
No. Yeah. Which was cool. But also I was stupid. And like I knew it was spice, but like when he opened the box and it like came out, it just looked like sand to me. So I was like, oh, it's just sand.
Yeah,
it's spice.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, sand. And then it like took like 1, 2, 3, clicked, and I was like, oh, that's spice. I wish it was a different color, but that's okay.
Well, because I feel like it's always like in the comics and stuff, when they've very rarely like actually shown it, it's like orange. So
Yeah.
they had to do like that kind of color, but it wasn't like a bright orange here. It was
Mhm.
dull, and that made it just kind of look like sand.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Kind of
because
funny though if he like
it was bright
oh,
orange.
that's the sand, and he just looks at the dead guy on the ground. He's shot over a box of sand.
Yeah, a few dead guys.
Just a few.
Yeah. But then we kept like there was like stuff. I don't know this episode. Like I do know that Well, I'm trying to think because I think is there a lot of Star Wars episodes? Like I'm pretty sure there are. I just like in the top of my brain can't think of any like that would have two stories at the same time and go back and forth like consistently.
No, like the closest would be like Clone Wars, but that's less two dual stories and more just like
Yeah.
every episode's like, hey, let's check in on this like random clone trooper, you know?
Yeah. So that was a little interesting because there was like I'm jumping, but there is like the specific part where like those Twi'leks, the Twi'lek lady, I don't remember her name.
First of Whip.
Yes, she like some pikes came in, they sat down, ordered a drink, and then they like left like a thingy there, like a box-ish thingy, and they left, and then immediately everything explodes, and there's a bunch of people dead, and then it cuts to Grogu, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, cute cuddly time. That was a little weird. I don't know. Just because I was taken so aback. So I was like, oh, that was an explosion. And then suddenly Grogu.
Max Rebo,
Yeah, Max Repo's
R.I.P. and the little
dead.
trucker droid.
Yeah, there was a lot of a lot of people died.
So sad.
I also kind of like the Twi'lek lady. I didn't like. I don't think she was that like. I don't think she was bad. I think she was like, she was just having fun. I don't know. I think she was cool. And now she's dead. Possibly, probably. I hope so because that was an explosion.
She's gonna Darth Maul out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of jumps. That was I don't know. To me, I didn't. It wasn't. What's it called? Like, because it would cut from Mando after he left to Grogu to Mando to Grogu. It was, I don't know. I personally didn't like it too much, but like also I liked seeing two stories. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know. I have no idea. What do you think?
No, I think I feel like pacing wise they did a good job of going between Tatooine and I don't know what planet Luke's school is on. Whatever, Bamboo Planet. Whatever Bamboo Planet. I feel like pacing wise is good. Like they would leave us on a little bit of a cliffhanger in one story and then jump to the other. I thought that was well done personally.
I guess I was like I felt like it was much like the Tuscans. I felt like I didn't have time to grieve for a second and understand what happened, and then I got moved on. Except like it's a bit different with the Tuscans, but yeah. But basically, Mando leaves. He goes to Cobb Vanth, and he goes to Boba. That's where we see Boba. He parks his little car in the garage, and then he attends like a meeting of Fennec talking about the Pikes and like what their next move is and stuff like that. And Boba doesn't say a word. He just kind of stands there. Which, like, if he's getting paid to do, like, the actor's getting paid to stand there, cool, lit. But yeah, and then what happens next? They want more moderators for their Discord. So so Mando goes over and he tries to convince Cobb Vanth and his town to go and help Boba with this, but the town really doesn't want to. They fought their battle before, especially with Mando. Like Mando and Cobb Vanth are even, so they don't want to do it. So Mando's like, okay, all right, fine, whatever, and he leaves. And then we see a person coming up to the town, which I thought was really cool, because I'm sure, like, what's his name? Robert Rodriguez probably had a little bit to do with this part, but just like the intense cowboy scene of a person coming up, which I never understood that part, because especially because if it's the whole stranger comes to town, why is he walking so much? Where is his car? Why is he walking all that way? It looks really cool. It looks really cool, but it's a little funny when you like think about it too much. I think about it a little too much. Anyway, sorry. I'm like rambling really bad because this was like a great episode. Also, like so much stuff happened. But basically they come by and we see a hatted person.
As soon as I saw him, I started freaking out. The second I saw that figure walking, I was like, I know who that is.
I was like, is that him? They're bringing a lot of characters back right now. Like even Luke, like, what did they do? CGI?
They did.
It looked really good.
They did. It was amazing. Like I wasn't someone that like in The Mandalorian, and a lot of people thought it was horrible. I thought it was okay.
No.
Not the best, but I didn't think it was horrible. But I was blown away this time. Like, oh my God, that is young Mark Hamill.
Yeah, like if I were like a new person and I was watching this, like, like all the way through and then saw like old Mark Hamill later on, I would think that was just not CGI. I thought I don't know. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, that was awesome. That was amazing. But so they took this character and then and like you hear the voice and you're like, oh my God. And then he does it, like you see his mouth, and like again it was like it's a little weird to see these cartoon characters come to life, because it's like it's weird, but like it just felt so right with this one, and just it was Cad Bane, and it was so cool, and like his eyes were super, it was great. It was good. I feel like they could have like elongated his face a little more, because
I think that was the only thing he didn't have the normal Duros face length. That was the only thing that threw me off. Other than that, I was like, it's Cad Bane. It was the same thing that happened in the Bad Batch. I get so excited because I'm like, oh my God, it's Cad Bane. Oh my God, he's so cool. I love Cad Bane. And then he shoots a character I really like, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, he does that every time.
Every single. I mean, he's like,
that's how he gets you.
Yeah, it's fine. I've heard like a lot of people like talking complete trash on like Boba Fett, like just both the show and like the character in general. And like there was a specific one that was like, well, like it's stupid because Boba was never cool, like he always lost and blah 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 blah. And I think I talked about this before, right? Yes, maybe. But like he's a bad guy. Like of course if he's going up to like the main characters, he's probably gonna like lose, except for like the one time that he took like Han Solo in Carbonite. But then either way, he kind of like lost in the comics because of War of the Bounty Hunters. But so there's a lot of stuff like that. But Cad Bane is just the best, and it was so cool to see, especially because like I thought he was just gonna be dead because of that. I mean, it's a deleted scene for a reason, but I thought like they were probably gonna stick with the like, it's Boba, right? It's Boba, and they're having like a shoot down with Cad Bane, and it's like the same cowboy style, right? I'm not wrong.
Right. Sort of.
Okay. Am I wrong? Wait, what?
I haven't seen it in a while. So
Okay, yeah,
maybe that's right.
yeah, and that's why I'm like, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I thought they were just kind of going with that ish, but also it's a deleted scene, so I don't know. But yeah, sorry, what was I saying? Yes, so so he's alive. He's very alive and very old. I don't know how his species ages, but like he was like alive when Boba was tiny, when Boba was baby.
He's been around.
He has. And I think they could have elongated his like face a tiny bit more, but like it's okay. It's okay. Like just pull his chin a little bit. His teeth scare me. Like they didn't scare me that much in the cartoon, but they scare me in real life. And then he he kind of just shoots Cobb because the deputy messes up, even after being told like, just go away, you're just gonna make things a lot worse, which I'm sure he wanted to help, but also like he should know that Cobb Vanth's got it and stuff like that. But basically the deputy tries to like get into the shooting area, but then he like misses, and then Cad Bane shoots Cobb in the arm. Very specific, it was in the arm. And then went to the deputy and like shot him multiple times. So yeah, that was fun. And then he was talking about how the territory is now under like Pike. It's now Pike territory. So yeah, fun times. And then he leaves like all cool, like back to wherever his ship is that he came from. But that's like the end for that little scene, or like that story area. And then we go to Luke and Grogu, and they're training, and I think it's the cutest thing ever, especially because it's like, not only does Luke have to train this thing, he also has to raise it because it's a baby. So it's interesting because he's like, all right, can you jump? And Grogu does his little jumpies, but he wants to try to explain it to him to be like Yoda, which I think is going to be a little bit of a problem, because then Grogu's going to think that he has to be perfect and become this Yoda character, and then put too much hardness onto himself, and then it's going to be sad. I'm sure they won't say that.
Luke's gonna do that.
Nobody keeps bringing it up.
Well, it's just because he's like, I haven't seen another thing like you before. You look like Yoda, so like,
but now what if Grogu?
I think he was bringing it up more to be like. I think he was bringing it up more to be like, look, just because you're a small little guy doesn't mean you can't be a cool, powerful Jedi. You know?
Yes, I know. I'm being dramatic, but what if Grogu? Let's just protect Grogu. But yeah, he does his little training, and then Luke puts him on his back, and does like, he jumps around bamboo. And I thought that was really cool, because now he has like another Yoda species on his back. He can just start collecting. And just anytime he sees that species, just be like, hey, get on my back. I promise it's cool. But yeah, and then he's like telling him like, hey, it's okay, you're a little guy. You can still do amazing things. So that's cool. And then he activates his like little ball thing that Luke has used in also for his training when he was with Obi-Wan, which was very sad because then just Grogu gets shocked the first few times. But eventually he starts to jump like Lego Yoda jumps, and it's a little freaky, but also it's really cute to see because he's like jumping on these rocks over rivers and stuff. And the scenery is really great. Very beautiful, very good. 10 out of 10. And just all of that nature is really, really nice and really cool. So later, like I was worried that when Grogu destroyed the ball, I don't know why, but I guess I was worried Luke was gonna be like, oh no, like he has like dark side, and I don't know. I was really waiting for something like that, especially because, you know, Luke kind of does that with Ben later on and almost kills Ben or tries to, and then that didn't, and then yeah, just fun stuff like that. But it didn't happen, which is good. And then we also get a cool cutscene of, or like not cutscene, like a flashback, yes, about Grogu during Order 66, which
You
was
had us
also
again.
traumatizing.
You thought you were safe from Order 66 and Book of Boba Fett? Not with
No.
Filoni around.
Nope, he's gonna remind you of it and make you cry. But in front of him were like 3 Jedis, and okay, I saw 2 green lightsabers, and I was like, quiet, Quinlan, and then no, none of them were Quinlan, but you
No,
know,
hope
it's okay.
not.
Yeah, also that, but then like that would support my theory that Quinlan Voss was the one to help Grogu escape.
You could have done it after the flashback.
True. He's like, there's another green lightsaber behind him that just picks him up and runs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a little horrifying to see and like traumatizing for both the audience and Grogu. So yeah, and then we see Ahsoka give Luke Grogu's present.
Well,
And I was like,
he offers it to him.
yes.
But he has to choose between the Beskar and the lightsaber, which is where I took an issue because I think, A, he's a baby. Why are you making him choose?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I know he's like 50 years old, but like, come on, Luke.
He's not like
also,
actually 50 years old.
Also,
Yeah.
Jedi never had to, they maybe had to let go of parental attachments to, you know, like I said earlier, try to get rid of that attachment and fear of, you know, the losing them that makes them be possessive over a person. But they never had to forego cultural attachments. In the prequels, the Clone Wars, and in the High Republic, we see Jedi with their cultural, like Mirianas have their cultural face tattoos. Ahsoka and Shaak Ti, Ahsoka gets rid of hers, but they have the Togruta like tabard things with designs on them.
Mm-hmm.
Even Tara Vizsla, who was just mentioned last episode, combined his Mandalorian culture with his Jedi culture. So it was weird, and I think maybe a showing of Luke is still very new at this Jedi thing, where he you know, didn't understand that Luke can, or that Grogu can combine those 2 cultures if he chooses to.
Yeah, again, I'm not like upset with Luke because he's learning. He's like this.
He doesn't.
He's teaching.
Yeah, he doesn't really have guidance. I mean, he has Ahsoka, but from what we gathered from just a little scene between them, it sounds like she like just popped in and was like, hey, what's up? And is now leaving to continue on her Thrawn search, presumably. So she's not like staying around to be guidance for him. Like maybe he's talking to like Yoda and Anakin and Obi-Wan via Force ghosty stuff. Maybe he's not, so
yeah, that was also just, it was a very my dad showed me this movie like a long time ago, and like maybe twice. It was very gory. It was a very like old school Japanese like samurai movie, and it's called Lone Wolf and Cub. And basically this like samurai dad, he like, a bunch of people come and kill him, or not kill him, kill his family and like the village and stuff like that, and the only one left is him and like his like son. And so he sits down much like how Luke is, and like has like a cloth, and he has like a ball and a sword in front of a baby that's just the same mindset as Grogu. And he like makes him choose to, if he chooses the ball, he will, like, the baby will just stay and die. If he chooses a sword, he will come with his dad and like go and travel and like train and like kill a bunch of people that like he wants to get revenge on. So that was kind of cool, and I think my dad will really appreciate that. But also it was like, again, like you said, like the whole cultural thing was like either or is the, I don't want to say it's dumb, because Luke is going to be learning as he teaches. It's, again, a lot like parenting. You don't just know right off the bat. So it's really difficult. I just wish I could be like, Luke, stop. Just give him the armor. It's just armor. Yeah, so that's I wonder how Grogu will respond. I'm sure he's gonna respond with probably the lightsaber, but I'm honestly not entirely sure where they're going with this.
I wonder if Grogu will use the Force and lift both of them up. And,
Yeah.
But I could see it going either way, they could go either direction. We could have Luke bring Grogu back to Din, and it's like he chose you, and Din is like, you let him pick where his whole life is gonna go when he's a baby, and Luke will be like, yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Or I could see him picking the lightsaber. There's different directions. I would like him to pick the Beskar, so Kylo Ren doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
Boy. Because if they reveal that Kylo Ren killed Baby Yoda, I will make them rewrite the Rise of Skywalker, so Kylo Ren does never crawls out of that pit.
Yes, I understand. I think it's interesting to see, though, because my mom, every time I call her, she like tries to remind me how much of like, sometimes when you parent, you have to really push certain things on your kid, not like push them into like things like, I guess in that kind of way, more so like for me, I in middle school, I really wanted to go to this culinary high school. I really wanted to go, but also my brain was like, no, I have friends in middle school that are going to go to a regular school. I should go with them because I'll have friends. But my mom was very, very, very insistent that I go here, go to the culinary school. And so in a way, I kind of see it from like, from Luke, because he's trying to, schooling is important, and as much as your family is important and like having friends and stuff is important, like school is going to help you throughout your life. And like, I don't regret doing it. I don't regret going to the culinary high school because you're going to make friends there, and also it has helped me through that. So I think in a way it's a little similar. And like Luke really wants to push him because I'm sure he really sees his potential in being a Jedi, especially because he's never seen another like Yoda thing species similar to it. But it's also so cruel. and like his little baby mind can't understand it. So I really hope he chooses both, but then he'll have cool armor and a cool lightsaber. Double win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Which I think is really funny because the last time I was podcasting with my family, I found a bunch of memes of people taking Grogu and putting chainmail armor on him. And my mom, I found one and it was like just the shirt, and it was like it looked exactly like what we saw in the show. And then my mom was like, no, because then like his head isn't covered, like then his head and his ears are like exposed. So I found one that like covers his head, and he kind of just like looks like a knight that took off his helmet, and so it has like the chainmail on his head and like connects down to a shirt. It looks really funky. But yeah, the whole situation is difficult, but we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I hope, as cool as it was to see all this, we save the rest of it for like the Mandalorian season 3, or maybe they'll touch on in the Ahsoka series or whatever. Because I want the finale of Boba Fett to be about Boba Fett and his problems.
Yeah.
And there's 7 episodes total, and across 2 of them, we got like one scene. We literally got one scene of Boba Fett. So
Yeah.
I would like the focus to shift back to him because it is hypothetically his show. And I hope they get back on track and are like, all right, we explained all this stuff to get us to this point. Here's what we're going to do on Tatooine, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of funny TikTok videos that's like, characters I'd love to see in Book of Boba Fett. And it's Boba. So yeah, that would be nice to see Boba, because they have me so, and like others, so invested in this show of like, well, what is Boba gonna do? What is his flashbacks like? What like just like the Pikes and like stuff like that and everything, and like recruiting new people and adopting. And then it's just kind of pushed this aside for a little bit. But yeah, I would like to see more Boba. In conclusion.
Yes.
Yes. But I think I really appreciated the Lone Wolf and Cub reference. That was really cool, but also mean, really mean. And I think the show is just I keep repeating myself. Really great episode, but not what I was expecting. So yeah, I don't think I have too much to say anymore. It's just I do want to see more Cad Bane because that's actually in the actual story that we need. So
I would like to point out before we go, before the show came out, I said I think they should have Cad Bane. I really want Cad Bane.
yes.
I wish. And yeah, he shot Cobb Vanth, but like he's just so iconic that like
yeah, I don't think my mom will be very happy with that.
It's like Cad Bane. You know
I
what I'm
don't think
saying?
she cares. I don't even think my mom really likes Cad Bane that much.
That's fair.
But yeah.
He's just cool. He has a cowboy hat and he had the duel, and I just like Cad Bane. That was
yeah. That's fair. No, that's valid, Zoe. Okay. um, yeah. I really enjoyed seeing Cad Bane, and the CGI for Luke was really, really, really good. That was really cool. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yes, it was a great episode of Star Wars.
Yes, Star Wars, the Star Wars show.
That's already a thing, but yeah.
No, another one.
And Star Wars show too.
Squared.
Yeah, really just phenomenal episode. Filoni did it again. There was a lot there, but it was super exciting. I guess we'll do wrap up things. Plugs. You obviously know where to listen to the podcast. You can find the Facebook page is Star Wars Geek Girl, Twitter and Instagram at SWGG Girl, and the website is starwarsgeekgirl.com. There's a new poll up this month for what your favorite Star Wars ship is. Ship like Kanan and Hera, which is the correct answer, not ship like Millennium Falcon. But no, so go vote for that. Last month was your favorite Star Wars thing, which was Obi-Wan Kenobi tied with something, is what people were excited for. Go to the website and find out the other one. And yeah, book reviews on Monday. I'm rereading Dark Disciple this week, so expect a book review for that on Monday. Quizzes on Wednesdays, and new blog articles on Fridays.
For the Rogue Rebels, we have theroguerebels.com. Instagram and TikTok is at the Rogue Rebels, Twitch at Rogue Rebels Podcast, wherever you find Star Wars Geek Girl. Facebook page, The Rogue Rebels, and Twitter at Rogue Rebels Fan.
All right. Thank you for listening to Star Wars Geek Girl. I was Zoe.
I was Lizzie.
May the Force be with you, and goodbye.
Bye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.